Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Easily one of the most frustrating circumstances when you're dealing with a strongly narcissistic person, that individual who has to be in control, they're entitled, they're very self-absorbed, highly defensive, manipulative, is along with all of that, they also tend to have what we just referred to as the know-it-all mindset. These are individuals who simply cannot receive input well from you because, you see, they already know more than you. In their minds, they think to themselves, well, you know, it's good that you have me in your world to set you straight. And you're over there thinking, how in the world did you concoct all the nonsense that you come at me with? But of course, they don't see it quite that way. There are so many illustrations, small or large, that illustrate the know-it-all mindset. I mean, as an example, let's suppose that you're just expressing a simple preference. I'd rather do A instead of B, or this is the way I like to manage this. And it can be on a multitude of things. And these individuals can come across and say, well, that's not really the right way of doing things. And you're just saying, thinking to yourself, I'm just expressing a preference. Nothing more, nothing less, but they want to turn it into an argument about proper procedure. Or it may be that you give an interpretation about a person and what they've done, or what you have noticed inside an event. And whatever your interpretation is, it's like, well, you don't have the right interpretation. Let me set you straight and let me explain to you what's really going on. And they can just wear you out with that. Sometimes it may be that you're talking about an old experience that you had, or something that has a historical context. And they can come along like, you know, they're the ultimate historian and say, no, that's not exactly the way it worked. Let me tell you what really happened way back in the day. And you're thinking, you've got a bad memory because hardly any of that happened the way you're saying, but the know-it-all, you know, they can't be told anything different. Or it could be that you're just trying to determine how to manage certain things, whether it's how to manage your kids or your schedule, or how to deal with certain coworkers or a project, or how to deal with a difficult social circumstance. And rather than them saying, well, why don't we just kind of put our thoughts out there on the table and break it down? Let's think this through. I'd like to help you. No, it's just basically, let me tell you what you need to do. I'm going to set you straight. You know, in that know-it-all narcissist world, there are multiple assumptions that they're making. First, one of the primary assumptions that they make is, when you disagree with me, instantly, it proves that you're wrong. That's how they think. Or another assumption that they hold on to, and that is, my opinions equate to facts. It's like, no, your opinion is just your opinion. It doesn't always have to be a fact. It's just how you think things through. It's like, no, my opinion is the ultimate truth. Or in their minds, they think that there's one correct way of thinking or doing, and wouldn't you know, it happens to be my way. And they're more than happy to let you know how enlightened they are and how you need to go along with them so that you can be a much better version of who you are, when in fact, no, that's not the case. Or in their mind, seeking separate perspectives is a waste of time. At least that's how they see it. Why do I need to hear what you or anyone else has to say when I already know everything I need to know? Don't waste my time on that. They're very black and white in their thinking. They have no room for exceptions to the rule or nuances, and they don't really want to know unique circumstances that might make them think things through a little bit differently. That's how they think. Likewise, as they come forward with this know-it-all attitude, in their mind, their arrogance is not arrogance. What they're thinking to themselves is, I'm just trying to help. But of course, it's part of their self-deluding rationalization about how terrific they really are. It's like, no, well, if this is your way of trying to help, keep it to yourself, will you? Or if they are proven wrong, you know what they're going to do. Let's say you just point blank say, here's the information, and it's entirely different from what you came up with. Then they'll start making excuses. Well, nobody told me this, or this isn't exactly what how it all played out. They're constantly making excuses. Or if you know that if they know that they've been completely cold busted in their errors, then they can just go silent, or they change the subject, or they flip it around and say, well, what about you? You don't do everything right. They simply can't say, I'm a mistake maker. In fact, let's go a little bit further into that. First of all, I want you to understand that there's two primary drivers with these narcissistic know-it-alls. And the first primary driver is these people are pervasively, even painfully insecure about their comparative standing in comparison with other individuals. They constantly worry about if they're good enough or if they're better than, and they see relationships as being able to live up to certain kind of judgmental standards, and that's pretty much it. And then in addition to that pervasive insecurity, they're very hungry, they're very needy for affirmation. It's their way of letting it be known, you sure should be lucky to have someone, like me that's so enlightened. Don't you think so? And they really want to have that positive feedback from you, even as they pretend to be very smug, like, I don't really need that, but yes, I do. That's how they think. Now, there are multiple statements that healthy individuals might be able to make that these know-it-all, smug narcissists just cannot make. Let me run through a few of those. For example, a healthy person would say, I really don't know how much I don't know, but I know that it's a lot. And you can go ahead and be okay or comfortable with saying, there are plenty of things that I need to learn, and there are plenty of things that I need to adjust in, and I don't mind saying that at all. Tell me what you think. Or another thing you will not hear these know-it-alls say, and that is, I like to be stretched, and I like to hear very different kind of perspectives. You never quite know what someone might say that will give me an enlightenment that I hadn't really thought about before. You won't hear them say that, that's for sure. Or another thing you won't hear them say is, knowing that people think differently from me keeps me mentally alert. In other words, when somebody seems out of the box, at least out of my box, it's like, well, that gives me something else I need to be aware of. Talk to me more about where you're coming from. They don't care about that, keeping in mind that narcissists have very low levels of empathy. Or another thing you won't hear them say is, it really does make sense to be a good listener, to commit to that empathy or to seek understanding. Now, they may say that they understand. Oh, I understand you more than you think I do. But they don't really make that effort, and it's not something that they give priority to. Or something else that you will not hear from that know-it-all narcissistic person is, I like being challenged. When was the last time you heard them say that? I like being challenged to go beyond my fixed habits. It's called learning, and sometimes I just need to get outside of my comfort zone and acknowledge there's always something new out there that I can fix my mind on. You won't hear them say, I'm honest enough to admit that I'm capable of miscalculations or misjudgments, or we might even take it further and say, I'm humble enough to recognize that. It's like, no, I don't make miscalculations. If I do, it's just because somebody didn't give me all the correct information. Nothing more than that. You won't hear them say, I'd rather not be held captive by rigid or closed-minded ideology. They're about as closed-minded and rigid as they can get. Because you see, another thing you won't hear them say is, I'm more loving. I'm more loyal to being loving than to having to win, because they must win, and as a result, they don't really think, what's the most loving way that I can approach other individuals. So do you see how this can be something that can be totally exasperated, and it fits right in with our understanding of what narcissism is all about? When you're dealing with this know-it-all narcissistic individual, there are multiple things that you want to keep in mind so that you don't get pulled into unnecessary angst and strain and tension. And first and foremost, what I want to encourage is resist the urge to argue with these individuals unless you want additional condescension coming your way. It's like arguing with a brick wall or arguing with a tree stump. It's not going to get you anywhere. A second thing I'm hoping you can understand, and I want to say this gently, but here it is. You can't fix stupid. When someone thinks, I'm the smartest person in the room and I know everything I need to know and you can't tell me, it's like, okay, that's where you are. And I'm not even going to attempt to fix something that's absurd like that. That said, go ahead and hold on to your assertiveness. Go ahead and hold on to your boundaries. When the narcissists and their know-it-all attitudes want you to adjust and conform to them, it's like, no, I'm going to go ahead and be who I am. This is the decision I've made. I'm sticking with it. Or these are my preferences and I'm going to stay with that. And when they say, well, you shouldn't do it that way, then in my assertiveness or with my boundaries, it's like, we think differently. And just leave it at that. And just proceed being who you are and know that you don't have to have their approval. Instead, ready your mind for ongoing curiosity, which is something that they won't do. But I'm hoping that as you have an ongoing curiosity and you have a lot of learning, it helps you fend off the results of the gaslighting ultimately that they're really trying to do. They want you to stay off your game by not knowing stuff so they can fill your mind with them. No, the more you're a learner, then it's like, gaslight me all you want. All that means is you're trying to make me confused. I understand who I am and I'm comfortable with who I am. And then sometimes the best response to that know-it-all narcissist, silence. Just, I don't have anything to say. Be what you are. Unfortunately, the know-it-all narcissist is simply a game player who sees relationships as an opportunity to try to go one up over and over. And you know what? In my mind, I'm thinking I win when I don't play that game. Yeah, I hope this gives you some good awareness of what you're dealing with, and I hope that it causes you to think, okay, how am I going to respond when I have to encounter these kind of things? If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do that so we can keep more videos coming in your way and you can learn in a cumulative kind of fashion. Also, if you have a need, you know that I'm sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. It's an online therapy resource, and ever since COVID hit, the online therapy has become very popular, and it's very accessible. It's affordable. There's a link below our video here that will take you to the people at BetterHelp, and you get a 10% discount if you go through our link for the first month. So please seek therapy if that's something you need. You can let the therapist know, I don't know everything, help me out. And that's something narcissists tend not to think. Likewise, we have my therapeutic courses, and these are meant to challenge you in specific kinds of areas, like signing up for an online class, a lot of extensive work that goes into it. Each course has multiple, like 25 or so videos with written documents along with it and guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making good connections. This is me about establishing those boundaries, free to be, and finding yourself despite the controllers. We also have my webinars that have already been presented, but you can purchase those. In addition to my podcast, we have my books, and we also have the website that has many articles, lots of resources for you. Okay, so you have that person that shows up in your life and they're thinking, good for you that you have me to tell you how to run things. I know everything. It's like, that's where you are. That's not where I am. I'm not going to get caught up in all of the insanity that goes along with that. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be grounded in decency. I'm going to be grounded in that curiosity and open-mindedness. Because you see, with those kind of characteristics, it's going to position me, and I hope you as well, to move further and further towards the direction of internal peace.